There are moments in life when you feel something changing inside you, but you can't explain it to anyone. Nothing dramatic happens on the outside. Your routine looks the same, your relationships look the same, and people around you assume everything is normal. But deep inside, something feels different, silent, heavier, almost as if your soul is trying to tell you something. Edgar Cayce said this inner shift is not random. It is the very first warning, the first whisper, the first spiritual signal that appears long before the universe changes anything around you. And he also said this clearly: most people see it every single day, but almost everyone ignores it. According to him, the human soul never begins a new chapter without first sending a subtle sign. A sign that something in your life is ending quietly, and something new is preparing to enter. This sign is not loud, not emotional, not dramatic. Instead, it appears in the quietest moments right before you sleep. During long pauses in your day, or during those times when suddenly everything around you feels unreal, distant, or strangely meaningless. Cayce described this moment as a soul pause, a pause where your outer identity is still functioning, but your inner self has stepped back, as if observing your life from a distance. He said this inner detachment is the first and strongest sign that your spirit has outgrown something in your life. It could be an environment, a relationship, a routine, an old version of yourself, or even a belief you've held for years. This detachment doesn't come with sadness. It doesn't come with excitement either. It is simply a quiet withdrawal of energy. You stop reacting emotionally to things that once controlled you. You stop caring about things that once shaped your identity. In the physical world, nothing has changed yet, but inside, everything has. And Cayce warned, this is the moment where most people make their biggest mistake. Instead of listening to this change, they run from it. They try to force themselves back into their old identity. They push themselves to feel excited again about the same things. They cling to the same people, even when something inside them already knows the connection is fading. They try to revive an old version of themselves that no longer exists. But the soul does not go backward. When it has evolved, it never returns to its previous form. Cayce said ignoring this first sign causes people to feel lost, restless, frustrated, and emotionally drained, because the soul is trying to move forward, while the mind is trying desperately to hold on. This inner conflict becomes the silent suffering most people experience without ever understanding the reason behind it. He explained that when this sign appears, your soul is preparing to shift your path. You are entering a stage of transformation where your inner world begins to reorganize itself. The desires you once had fade out. The meaning you once found in things starts dissolving. You begin to see people for who they truly are, not for who you wished they were. Old connections start loosening. Old patterns start breaking. The world around you feels familiar, but you don't feel like the same person living in it. Cayce believed this sign means your spirit is quietly stepping into a higher vibration, and when this happens, your old environmentally, emotionally, and spiritually can no longer hold you. That's why you feel disconnected. That's why you feel distant. That's why things don't excite you the way they used to. Your soul is pulling away from everything that does not belong to your next chapter. This is the moment where the universe watches you closely. Will you honor the shift? Will you pay attention to this warning? Or will you close your eyes and pretend nothing is happening? Cayce said this sign is a sacred invitation, an invitation to let go, to trust. To surrender the old identity that is already dying inside you. Because the moment you accept this inner signal, your life begins to move. Energy begins to flow again. New paths begin to open. Divine timing starts aligning, and everything that once felt stuck suddenly begins to shift. This is the first sign, the most important sign, the sign almost everyone misses. But those who recognize it, their entire life begins to change. Once the first inner detachment begins. Edgar Cayce said the transformation moves into a deeper and far more confusing stage. This is where most people feel lost, tired, emotionally unstable, or strangely disconnected from their old identity. But Cayce insisted that this confusion is not a mistake, it is the soul reorganizing your life from the inside out. He explained that after the soul pause, the universe begins to remove energy from everything that no longer belongs to your path. This is why suddenly you stop caring about goals you once obsessed over. You lose interest in people you once poured your energy into. You feel mentally exhausted by conversations that once entertained you. And the places, habits, or routines you used to enjoy no longer give you anything. Cayce said this loss of interest is not depression, it is alignment. It is your soul preparing space, because before anything new can enter your life, everything outdated must be cleared. But the clearing does not start in your physical world, it starts in your vibration. He explained that every relationship, every habit, Every dream and every emotional tie carries an energetic weight, and as your soul rises, anything that vibrates lower begins to fall away. That is why people drift away without fights. That is why connections fade without explanations. That is why certain routines feel heavy and certain conversations feel empty. Your soul has already moved ahead, and your outer life is slowly following. During this stage, Cayce said, your intuition becomes louder, sharper, and more persistent. You may begin receiving internal warnings, small gut feelings telling you who to avoid, where not to go, what not to chase, and what no longer belongs to you. These warnings often come quietly, but they are powerful. They come as sudden discomfort around certain people, as a strange sense of wrongness in certain situations, as a whisper telling you to let go, even when your mind has no logical reason to do so. Cayce believed the soul never gives these warnings without purpose. They are signals that something in the unseen world is shifting around you. But here is the part he emphasized. Most people do not trust this guidance. They feel it, yet they ignore it. They sense the discomfort, yet they stay. They hear the inner warning, yet they continue in the direction that drains them. Cayce said ignoring intuition during this stage is one of the biggest reasons people suffer unnecessarily. Because when the soul tries to move you to a higher path, the universe removes everything that blocks it, and resisting this removal only prolongs your pain. Then Cayce described the most mysterious shift of all, the emotional collapse before the breakthrough. He said your emotions may suddenly feel more intense, small things upset you. You feel overwhelmed by noise, and you become more sensitive to energy around you. This is not weakness. This is the soul stripping away your previous layers so you can see your life with clarity. You begin to notice things that were always there but you were too busy to see. The true intentions of people, the real nature of your relationships, the hidden reasons behind your behaviors, the lies you told yourself to stay comfortable. This stage feels painful because the truth hurts the identity you are shedding. But Cayce said this pain is temporary. It is the cracking of the old shell, and then something unexpected happens. Something he considered the second most important sign, a sudden inner clarity. A moment. When you wake up and feel a strange calmness, as if your soul has made a decision before your mind understands it. You may not know your destination, but you know one thing clearly: something has to change. You feel it with certainty. You recognize what no longer belongs. You sense what your soul wants you to release. This inner clarity is not loud, but it's powerful. It is a quiet knowing that your next chapter is waiting, and your current chapter cannot continue the same way. Cayce said this clarity means the soul has fully stepped into its new vibration, and everything in your outer world will now begin to shift around it. This stage is where destiny starts to move. New people appear, new thoughts enter your mind, new opportunities show up out of nowhere, synchronicities increase, your energy begins to rise again. But only one stage remains, the one Cayce believed reveals whether you truly understand the message behind the sign most people miss. Edgar Cayce said that once your intuition becomes sharp and emotional clarity arrives, the soul moves into its final stage of transformation. This stage is where your outer world finally begins to shift in response to everything that has already transformed within you. But he warned that this is the stage where people become the most fearful, because now the changes begin appearing physically through people leaving, opportunities ending, unexpected closures, or sudden turning points that feel like life is pushing you in a direction you did not choose. Cayce explained that you did choose it, just not consciously. Your soul chose it long before your mind understood it. This stage begins when something in your life suddenly stops working. A door that was once open closes without warning. A relationship becomes unstable. A job, environment, or routine that once felt safe suddenly feels suffocating. And people often panic here. They think everything is going wrong. They think life is falling apart. But Cayce said this is the exact moment your soul has been guiding you toward. The moment your external reality begins catching up with your internal transformation. He emphasized that when old structures collapse, they collapse for your protection. They collapse because they cannot hold the person you are becoming. Cayce believed that the universe never removes anything without replacing it with something higher. But the replacement cannot come until the old energy is fully cleared. That is why this stage often feels like a void. You have left your old self behind, but the new self has not fully arrived. The path feels invisible. You feel disconnected from everything familiar and not yet connected to anything new. This emptiness scares most people. It makes them run back to old relationships, old patterns, old comfort zones. But Cayce warned that this is the worst mistake you can make, because it pulls you backward into a vibration your soul has already outgrown. Instead, he said the void is the most sacred part of the journey. It is the space where the soul rewrites your destiny without interference from your old beliefs. It is the silence where you discover who you truly are without the noise of the world shaping your thoughts. It is the stillness where your next chapter begins building itself quietly, piece by piece, in the unseen. Cayce said the void is not punishment, it is preparation. During this final stage, signs begin appearing everywhere, guiding you toward your new direction. You might see repeating numbers, experience strange coincidences, encounter people who say exactly what you needed to hear, or feel unexplained urges to move in a specific direction. Your intuition becomes a compass, your dreams become messages, and your emotions become signals telling you what aligns with your soul and what doesn't. Then Cayce said, comes the moment most people completely miss the final confirmation of the sign he warned about. It happens when you begin to feel a pull toward something new, even though you don't fully understand it yet. A pull toward a new chapter, a new purpose, a new version of yourself. This pull is subtle but powerful. It feels like a quiet excitement, a small spark, a sense that something is calling you forward. Most people ignore this calling because it doesn't come with clear instructions. It comes with feeling, intuition, and trust. Cayce said the soul always whispers before it speaks, and always speaks before it shouts. If you ignore the whisper, life becomes heavier until the change is forced. But if you follow the whisper, the universe opens paths you never imagined. Cayce explained that this final sign, the pull towards something unknown, is proof that your transformation is complete. Your soul is ready, your energy has shifted, your vibration has risen, and now, the universe begins aligning everything you need for your next level. People who follow this pull begin noticing sudden blessings, unexpected breakthroughs, and opportunities that match the person they've become. Their life feels lighter again, clearer again, aligned again. The confusion fades, the emotional heaviness lifts, and a new sense of purpose begins to rise. This is why Cayce said, the sign is subtle, the change is silent, but the result is undeniable. Your soul always knows what your mind discovers later, and if you learn to recognize this early warning, you save yourself from years of repeating the same cycles. Most people miss this sign every single time, but the ones who see it, the ones who trust it, the ones who honor it, are the ones who transform. Your soul has already whispered, your intuition has already spoken, your energy has already shifted. The question now is simple: will you listen to the sign that almost everyone else ignores?